The Rajasthan political soap opera still remains unfolding. So there is no end yet. So the Ashok Gehlot government is in a precarious situation, but the attempts to dislodge Congress government in Rajasthan, as it happened in Madhya Pradesh or in Karnataka, seems to have not yielded proper success as of now. But nobody can predict the situation, the turn of events in Jaipur. But meanwhile, the political slugfest has broken between Congress and BJP. The Congress claims that it is essentially a BJP conspiracy. The BJP says it has no role to play. It is purely Congress internal revolt, and the Congress that fails to keep its house in order is unnecessarily drawing BJP into the battlefield. But what is the reality? Let's closely look at the claims and counterclaims of the Congress and BJP. Normally, people like us need not be so keen on developments in Rajasthan, essentially because the Ashok Gehlot Sachin Pilot fight in Congress is not on principles, is not on policies, and is not for people. It is essentially a petty, a very, very selfish political war between two aspiring leaders. Gehlot wants to retain power, Pilot wants to grab power. So people have no role to play in this. So normally such kind of power games are of not so serious concern for people like you and me. But the Rajasthan internal fight has something to do with Indian democracy. That's where we are keen on analyzing it. Firstly, let us look at the Congress claims. Is it only a conspiracy of the BJP? Well, I am not denying the role of BJP, and I shall explain to you little later. But the Congress should understand that why is this happening only in the Congress-ruled states? It happened in Karnataka, it happened in Madhya Pradesh, it's now happening in Rajasthan. Why is it not happening in the non-Congress ruled governments in West Bengal, in Kerala, in Telangana, in Andhra Pradesh, in Odisha? At least in Bengal and Kerala are totally hostile to BJP. Well, Telangana is also in the recent past turning hostile to BJP. I can understand YSR Congress and Biju Janata Dal are neither friends or nor foes for BJP. But why these governments are not toppled? Why similar splits are not being engineered in these parties? So the Congress should realize that unless something is wrong in your own house, the neighbor will not poach you. The neighbor's capacity to poach you depends essentially on the vulnerability, on your own vulnerability. Look at what happened in Madhya Pradesh. Congress government has fallen. Look at what happened in Rajasthan. Congress could at least till now withstand the crisis. So that indicates that the Congress party has to introspect. Something is seriously wrong with the Congress. What is seriously wrong with the Congress? When will a political party be stable? A, it should have a leadership which has a moral authority and the party leaders and cadres. Unfortunately, Congress is lacking. Why unfortunately? Because I seriously believe that a strong and viable, vibrant opposition is essential for democracy. And the Congress is lacking in this kind of characteristics. So that is the first problem. Then the second problem with the Congress is it doesn't even have a cohesive ideology that can keep the party cohesive. So in the absence of a leadership that can ensure moral authority, or in the absence of ideological cohesiveness, God can only save the Congress. So the Congress cannot be oblivious to these internal characteristics that make the party vulnerable for BJP poaching. Then comes the second aspect. Is BJP not concerned with it? Well, what happened in Karnataka? Congress and JDS MLAs revolted against the party. They were shifted to Mumbai. They came back. They joined BJP. They now became the cabinet ministers even before BJP loyalists. What happened in Madhya Pradesh? Scindia revolted against the Congress leadership, ultimately joined the BJP. His supporters have become ministers, much to the chagrin of Shivraj Singh Chauhan. Shivraj Singh Chauhan could not ensure ministerial berths to his own loyalists, but Scindia loyalists outnumber Shivraj Singh Chauhan loyalists in the Madhya Pradesh BJP cabinet today. Jyotiraditya Scindia is now a BJP Rajya Sabha member and soon will become a minister in the Modi's cabinet. Then once you see in Karnataka, once you see in Madhya Pradesh, and you have seen in Goa, you have seen in Uttarakhand. So this is not new. We have seen in Gujarat how Congress MLAs defected to ensure BJP winning the Rajya Sabha elections. Given this pattern, Rajasthan perfectly fits into this pattern. So therefore, none can even have an iota of doubt that the BJP is absolutely unconcerned with Rajasthan developments. Certainly, it is aided and abetted by the Bharatiya Janata Party. I am not telling that BJP alone is responsible. Congress is responsible for the initial crisis, but BJP is responsible for fomenting that crisis and taking the crisis to this kind of a proportion. Secondly, where are these rebel MLAs housing now? So they are under the complete protection of BJP Haryana government. So they are lodged in a hotel in BJP ruled Haryana, and the Haryana police is providing a sort of protection to the rebel MLAs. Initially, Rajasthan police were not even allowed. Even after they were allowed, today Haryana police outnumber them. Thirdly, if the BJP is absolutely unconcerned or unattached to these developments in Rajasthan, why should they bat for Sachin Pilot? Today, Sachin Pilot as a patron in BJP, BJP leaders with a remarkable alacrity are defending Sachin Pilot. In what way they are concerned with Sachin Pilot? If they are equidistant from Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot, why should they show such kind of unusual enthusiasm to come to the defense of Sachin Pilot? So all this clearly indicate that the BJP is certainly behind what's happening in Rajasthan. So BJP doesn't want to come to the fore because it is still not sure whether it can topple the Ashok Gehlot government.